Whoop, whoop.
Okay. I think that's good.
All right. Ready?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to Moline Method Mic'd, our podcast. I'm Kelly Moline, functional medicine consultant, licensed pharmacist, wife, and new mom.
And I'm Landon Moline, Kelly's husband and father to baby Danielle.
Yes. So we've had an exciting week. Danielle went to her first kid's birthday party, a 2-year-old's birthday party. So we wanted to talk about how our opinions have changed on little kids' birthday parties.
Yeah. I used to think they were kind of ridiculous because the kid doesn't remember them and they're so little. And so, yeah, I don't know. I just felt like it was unnecessary. And but my opinion has changed since we've had the kid. I do think there is an element to that where, although yes, your everyday is focused on the baby, it's a day that's solely focused on them. And yes, they are not going to remember the 1-year-old birthday party, 2-year-old birthday party, but it's still a day that's focused entirely on them, and it's bonding. It's something that it's still that attachment, that fun, and I think it's also fun for the parents.
Yeah. So before we had Danielle, my sister asked me if I had plans for her first birthday because she was making plans as well. She's like, I know this is far out there, but I'm trying to set up vacation plans. So do you have plans for her first birthday, which was estimated to be February? It ends up being January because she came early. But I'm like, oh no, don't worry about it. You'd have to fly in because they live in Minnesota and we live in Texas. So it's not that big of a deal. It's her first birthday. And now my opinions have changed, and it's not a big deal if they're not able to go. I understand it's still like a far flight, and it's like more important to me being the mom than probably anyone else. But yeah, I think it's a bigger deal than I first anticipated. But like the first birthday, and even like maybe the first couple are, I think, primarily more for the parents because, like, yes, we're trying to make her childhood fantastic and the best we can, but we also are trying to make the most of our parenthood as well. So, like, the 1 year is very significant to me, and we're halfway there, but it's significant to me because that's 1 year from going through the whole birth experience and surviving the year or taking it in stride or whatever that looks like for you. But yeah, I think it's pretty significant now that we're anticipating it with our own baby.
Yeah, it's an anniversary. It's a milestone. So I think it's worth celebrating.
Yeah, and it'll get more fun as she gets older because then it will be more and more about her. She'll develop her own interests and have her own friends that we can celebrate with, and it'll be less about the parents and more about her. But I think it'll be fun just like anticipating that for the future.
I think the first year is probably more for the parents than anything. But the baby does to get something out of it, like I mentioned. But then I think that year 2 is kind of like a 50-50 split between like, okay, it's for the parents, but the baby is getting something out of it, a little something out of it. Probably won't remember it, but still kind of, again, more bonding. And then by year 3, they're hopefully, I don't know, maybe taking something. It's more focused on them, I guess.
Well, they have more interest by that point. Like year 2, they do as well. And then year 3, it just develops further. And then their memory starts developing. I think earliest memories usually are around 3 or 4. So they'll start remembering and having all of that to look back on.
Yeah.
So she went to her first birthday party and you were busy. So I had to take her, like get her ready and take her. And it was a pool party, which was loads of fun, but a lot when you're handling a 6-month-old baby going by yourself. And the mom is so sweet and she was like very helpful as well. But I had to like plan it out with, her nap. Is she sleeping in the car? That was my plan, to run errands and for her to sleep in the car before we get there so we can make the most out of her awake period. She didn't take as long as a nap as I was hoping, but she got like 20 minutes in before we got there. And then so then we got in the pool, we did all that, And we lasted probably an hour and a half there, which I thought was really good. And then my mom called me later and asked how it went. And I said we were there for an hour and a half. And she's like, oh no, that doesn't sound like it went well then. You were barely there, like did all that effort for not a lot of result. And I'm like, oh no, I thought it went great. Like she has about an hour and a half wake period where she's generally pretty happy. And after that, she can get fussy. We need to figure out nap time. I don't know where to put her down. I don't really have someone to hand her off to at that point. And there's like kids running around, or it's pool, or it's a lot of stimulation. So in my eyes, that went well. And so it's kind of taught me how to manage expectations as we are in this like new lifespan. And yeah, just I think your how you think it went, your outlook on it really has to do with what you're expecting and your expectations with that. And so, yeah, I think it looks different now than it did before.
Yeah, I think the timeline of when you show up somewhere and when you leave just changes when you have a kid in general. I think that, obviously kids need their naps, they need their feeding times and all that, and that impacts how long you would stay somewhere, unless you can feed them there, unless they can somehow take a nap there if you have some kind of place to put them down. But yeah, I think that's just a natural part of life now in this new phase. So
yeah, and I think before we had kids, we didn't really have friends that have had kids before us.
True.
At least not in like our immediate friend group who we're hanging out with often. So I think before kids, I'd be like, yeah, come on, bring your kid. They can come for the day too. And now I know like what that means, and you have to navigate nap time and all that. And when she was really little, she could sleep wherever, where now that's a lot more difficult. And unless I have like a quiet room and a safe space to put her, and then we've brought like a baby monitor just to be able to hear her, or we've used our phones and just like called and left it on speaker so that we can hear if she makes noises. But we've managed. But I also know how much of a challenge that is now that she's more aware of her surroundings and doesn't necessarily want to nap. And if we're missing several naps in a row, like the day just kind of goes downhill from there.
Yeah, and then it gets to be harder to get her to sleep later in the day and all that kind of stuff. There's repercussions to changing a baby's schedule, during the day. So yeah, there's all those elements to think about now. Even though it's nice to get the invite, be like, oh yeah, you can bring your baby. It's not always as easy as it may seem just to bring the baby along.
And I love getting invited still. Like I love being able to still make that decision, or it may not be like best case scenario with a baby, but to me, coming for an hour is still something that we can do with her. And even if it doesn't look like what it did before, to me, that's still worth it, to get out of the house, to get her to experience other things, even if we're not staying all day when we used to before. But yeah, I think when people, like my mom, she asked me how it went, and I'm always like, oh, it went great. Or other people's like, how's Danielle? And I'm like, perfect. I don't know if that's the Midwesterner in me, Midwesterner in me, but I'm always like, yeah, it's great, which I feel like it is great. And I'm always trying to like be optimistic and look at the bright side of things. And I'm so grateful that we have her, which is why I think I always like have that it's great kind of mentality. But there definitely are hard times, and I don't want to just like scathe over that as well. Because sometimes when you hear other moms and they're like, oh, they're always having a great time, their baby must be sleeping, they must be doing great. And so then you're like questioning how you're doing it. So yeah, so we've had some challenging times right now. I think our challenging time is bedtime, because that has taken several hours a night, it seems like, to go to sleep.
Several hours a night sounds like 7 or more hours a night. It's in a few hours every night.
Yeah, like
it's not
3.
just going and putting her down, which in general, it typically takes like 20 to 30 minutes. But now at night, it seems like she's fighting sleep. We try to get her down at the same time every night. But yeah, it does seem like it's taking an hour to 2 hours.
Yeah. We don't have like a super strict schedule with her, but we do try to do a 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. sleep schedule. And so we're aiming for around 7 p.m. bedtime. Sometimes it's a little bit earlier if she's getting fussy. Sometimes it's a little bit later if she's not quite tired yet. So we are going off of her cues. But last night it took 3 hours. So, and I would say on a good, like the best night, 45 minutes. That's the quickest I can do it. Because she's nursing for a long time. She'll nurse for 45 minutes. That's a minimum. And typically it's an hour or more. And then I think more than that, like I end up putting her down to see if she'll fall asleep by herself. And then if she doesn't, then you go in and you try to rock her. And if that's still not working, then she'll like come out and hang out with us just to reset. But
yeah, I think that's where our experiences are different, because when you're gone and I'm bottle feeding her, bottle feeding takes less time. So she finishes eating really quickly and I just take the bottle out when there's no milk left in the bottle, or when she's just done eating. But it goes a little quicker. So that's kind of where, because she feeds quicker and she doesn't just like stay and
nurse for comfort,
I then, I rock her to sleep and she goes to sleep a little bit quicker. So for me, it's like 20, 30 minutes when I'm doing the bottle when you're gone. But,
sure.
Yeah.
So I was texting my friend about this last night and she suggested like, what if Lennon does a bottle every night and you can pump so that you don't have to do that. Don't have to like take the time. But I don't know if it's like my motherly instinct or whatever, but like that I think would make me sad and a little bit jealous if you got to do the bedtime every night. And so like I know it's taking a toll on me to do the bedtime, but I also know it's not going to be forever. And I also can't pump that much. Like we usually do 4 ounces for a feeding. Like that's what I have stored. So I think if I pumped at night instead of instead of nursing, I don't think at night I would be able to get as much out pumping as I would nursing.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, if I was bottle feeding her, then you'd have to pump more every night. So yeah, no, that's...
Yeah, because I don't pump that often unless like I'm at work or something else happens throughout the week. But I don't pump on the day to day. So I don't have like a ton of extra milk just to do that with. And so, yeah. But that tells me, yeah, it would be quicker. So maybe once in a while we could do that. But I also don't want to like use up all my milk storage either.
No. And I do think you enjoy doing it at night.
And we could get stricter on like sleep training. I know a lot of people swear by it, but I'm not right now. I don't want to do a lot of sleep training and like cry it out method. Like crying it out hurts my heart to hear. So I'm not ready for that either.
No, I don't. I think that's kind of how I thought I was going to be more of like cry it out method. Like let's just, let her self-soothe and figure it out. But no,
I thought I was too. I thought I was going to be like stricter and be like, yep, a schedule is good. Sleep is good. She'll figure it out. She'll learn how to self-soothe. She'll learn how to sleep. But then I see all of this talking about how like the babies never necessarily learn how to self-soothe, but they just kind of give up crying for you. They learn that their cry doesn't mean that you'll come. And that breaks my heart.
Yeah. It's hard. I don't know. I think just hearing it in general, she's got me wrapped around her finger already. I'm in trouble because, I don't want her to feel anything but good feelings. So.
Yeah. And I think there's something biological about the baby's cry and the mother's response. I've heard it's like fire alarms going off in the mother's brain, and like our cortisol is just like ramped up because of that. So it's our like body telling us to respond to our baby too. So I want to listen to that.
Yeah, I think, it makes sense. Like maternal instincts, and your body does certain things when babies cry. And I've heard that kind of stuff before. Just like if you put her near like you to feed, like your body already starts knowing, like,
down.
hey, we're feeding.
Yep,
So.
exactly. And so we're going to talk about stress and cortisol today. And I feel like I've been a little bit more distracted lately, a little bit more stressed lately. So this Saturday, I took the day to unplug and turn off my phone and be less distracted and be around my family and just not have that and kind of take more of a Sabbath day. And so I really enjoyed that. I felt like that was a good rest and recovery day. And then after that, I was able to be more productive too.
Nice. Yeah, I thought it was a nice day.
Nice little reset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's like biblical as well, how God made like the night and then day, and that was the first day. Like, it shows us how rest is important, like rest before productivity. And I think our society does that opposite. And even it's one of the commandments that we should keep the Sabbath holy, and that rest is so important to us. So it's great to me, like when I'm able to do that more and the results that come from it as well.
Yeah.
What?
I'm a little distracted. Our dog is literally snoring behind him. I need to wake him up. He's in his kennel.
He's fine.
Yeah, I don't think the mics can pick it up, but I just hear him snoring back there, and I'm like, okay. But no, I think rest is important. Yeah.
Talking about rest, it put him to sleep.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
So with that, our functional medicine topic today is about cortisol or adrenal fatigue, burnout, all of that you hear about stress and what that looks like in the body and what we can do about it.
Yeah. So what is cortisol? I mean, we've heard it multiple times now, probably on multiple episodes, because it relates to a lot that goes on in the body.
Yes.
And so, yeah, what is cortisol and what does it do?
So cortisol is our stress hormone. I think cortisol gets a bad rap. Everyone talks about lowering your cortisol, but cortisol is a glucocorticosteroid. And I'll break that down. So gluco meaning it manages glucose or blood sugar. And so it will bring like blood sugar to the system for that quick energy, because when you're under stress, you need quick energy. And then cortico meaning it's made in the adrenal cortex. That's where the hormone is made. The adrenals add renal, which adrenal means above, renal means kidneys, so they're little glands that sit right above the kidneys. And then glucocorticosteroid. So steroid meaning it's anti-inflammatory and it's immunosuppressive. So it down regulates your immune system so that it can focus on other things like running from the tiger or whatever that looks like. Obviously, we're not running from tigers anymore, but that's what we think of when we think of that stress response. It could happen when you're running from a tiger or if you get a bad email. It's the same response.
Or the baby poops in the diaper and you know that your wife's coming to you to change it.
Oh,
You gotta get away.
Is that what happens?
That's my running from the tiger.
Oh, okay.
That's my picture.
So that's what cortisol does. And then cortisol has a natural rhythm, and we want this rhythm to occur where it rises to the highest about 30 minutes after waking. That's when it should be the highest, and then it'll go down throughout the day, so it's lowest by bedtime. And that's where melatonin will pick up so that you can sleep throughout the night, and then cortisol will again rise throughout the night, so it wakes you up upon morning, and then it'll peak again 30 minutes after waking, and it goes through that cycle. So it peaks in the morning and then falls throughout the day, so it's low by bedtime, so you get good quality sleep. So that's its natural rhythm. But I've seen with cortisol testing where people are really, really high or really, really low throughout the day, and both can be bad. And I've seen where people are low throughout the day and then high at night, and that's where I see like insomnia and then fatigue throughout the day.
Got it. So, and I guess, so certain people just naturally, I've heard of people that have insomnia, or they just feel like they're dragging throughout the day and they just don't have enough energy. But besides those facts, how do you know if your cortisol levels are normal?
So, how you know would be testing, and I'll get into that. And you can also see how you're feeling by symptoms, and then that could lead you to testing. But high cortisol symptoms, that's going to lead to feeling like anxious or wired and tired, weight gain, especially around the midsection, trouble falling asleep, again, insomnia, like you said, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, and then sugar or caffeine cravings as well. Those would be signs of high cortisol, too high. And then too low cortisol would be kind of the opposite, where you might feel very fatigued or dragging throughout the day. You may have withdrawal or low motivation or depression. You can have a low metabolism with that. Brain fog, waking up throughout the night. When people are really low in cortisol and flat throughout the day, it can be hard to have the energy and then to fall asleep at night. Even though we think of low cortisol, we think like you should be sleeping all the time, but the body likes those bigger signals. So if you're just flat, it can be hard to fall asleep, or you're waking up throughout the night as well. And then not responding well to physical activity, like feeling worse after a workout. That could also mean very like burnt out, low cortisol. But my mom, I had a cortisol test, and so she's been struggling with sleep for as long as I can remember, probably the last 10, 20 years. So I wanted to do a test on her, which was a urine test multiple times throughout the day. I usually like to do a Dutch test with people, but Dutch is dried urine testing for comprehensive hormones. But yeah, so she did a urine test, and so we could see her hormone levels and then her cortisol levels. And what I noticed with her was her cortisol was like low throughout the day, and then it spiked at night. So that would indicate right there, just seeing the test and not even knowing her symptoms, I can already see what her symptoms are. So she had low energy in the day, her cortisol was low, and then her cortisol was high at night, so she was having that insomnia. Even after trying different sleep medications, nothing really helped to the effect that she wanted. So we started her supplements, lifestyle, getting sunlight in the morning to reset her circadian rhythm and peak it naturally. We were able to correct that pretty quickly. Within a few weeks, she was able to get off of sleep medications and have more energy throughout the day and actually sleep more cohesively at night, which was huge for her.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something that a lot of people deal with. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a really common thing. So that's where I'm just curious, is there something that people are doing that throws their cortisol off, or is there something we can do that would help regulate it better, or is like, how does it fall off? Like, or why is it so different from person to person?
Yeah. So again, I said that cortisol is the stress hormone. So the more stress we have, it can get off balance over a period of time, whether that's a lot of time with chronic stress or a big stressor event. Either or could cause it to go off balance. So a little sciencey here, I know, but we'll go into how that works. So the adrenal glands, like I said, produce the cortisol. And when someone is healthy and stressed, that cortisol is going to go up, and that is normal. That is healthy. That's a normal response, good response. We want that to happen because it's providing your body with that like fight or flight energy, all of that stuff that we need, but we shouldn't have that over a long period of time. We should have fight or flight and then go back to rest, digest, and recover. It's when we get stuck in that fight or flight. So when cortisol goes up, there's another hormone produced by the adrenal glands called DHEA, and that hormone should go up as well to meet it. So cortisol itself is a catabolic hormone, and catabolic means it breaks things down. So it's breaking down your gut lining, your muscles to make like blood sugar. It's helping break down your body to provide that energy. And then DHEA is an anabolic hormone. It's a precursor to testosterone and other hormones. So when we're thinking of testosterone, we're thinking of muscle, we're thinking of building up. So we have cortisol goes up when you're stressed, and then DHEA will go up when we're stressed to match that. So we have the breakdown, but we evenly have the build up. So we're not breaking down the body to an extent. When someone is chronically stressed, what happens first is the DHEA level will drop off. And so we have a high cortisol with a low DHEA. That signals to me first that something with the adrenal glands is not working properly, or more specifically, the HPA axis. Like we talked about with the thyroid episode, we have the hypothalamus pituitary thyroid signaling. We also have the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal signaling. So that's what I mean when I say HPA axis. So we have that signaling isn't working to the body's benefit anymore, where we're now in a catabolic state where the body is breaking down. Okay. So we have different stages of adrenal fatigue, or HPA axis dysfunction is a better term, but I think people have heard of adrenal fatigue a little bit more. And so when we have a high cortisol and a low DHEA, that would be our stage 1 of adrenal fatigue or HPA axis dysfunction. And then over time, that signaling will drop further, where the body is trying to protect itself. So the cortisol will go down as well. So our stage 2 is kind of caught between stage 1 and stage 3, where if you just look at a cortisol level on a test and that was all, it would look perfectly normal because it's caught between super high and super low. So it may look normal to the naked eye, but it's not, because the DHEA is really low. And then stage 3 would be like that fatigue, that burnout. The cortisol is a flat line. We don't have that rhythm anymore and we're dragging. So cortisol and DHEA are both really low. Okay. So we have hypocortisol, or not enough cortisol at that point. So when I say cortisol has a bad rap and people are always talking about lowering your cortisol, it is also important to know where your cortisol is, because if you are already really low, that can make things worse.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, yeah, so that's why you don't, I'm trying to think here. That's why when your cortisol is high, when you're really stressed out, it's harder to sleep. It's harder to get yourself to relax, and because your cortisol is high at that point. Mm-hmm. And so when you say the DHEA rise to meet it, like the DHEA, it processes the cortisol hormone. That's where I'm a little disconnected.
It doesn't process it, but DHEA is also a hormone running in the body.
Okay, so like when the cortisol goes up, like the DHEA needs to meet it. Is that what you're saying?
It also goes up because cortisol is breaking things down and DHEA helps build things up. So it helps prevent the body from breaking things down too much.
That's where I was disconnected. Okay, so yeah, DHEA needs to be at the same levels basically as cortisol, so that when cortisol is breaking things down, it's got something to break down. Basically, it's not attacking other things in the body. Maybe that's a dumb question. I don't know.
So cortisol is going to break things down. That's its job. DHEA is also going to rise and be high, so it prevents the body from breaking things down too much. The body is going to have things to break down. The cortisol is going to have things to break down. So when DHEA falls too low and now we just have high cortisol and a low DHEA, then that's where we get more leaky gut because the cortisol is breaking down the gut. That's where we can have our muscles break down. That's where we can have bones break down. The body's just continuously breaking down different things that you need to maintain a healthy life and creating blood sugar out of it to give you more energy.
Okay. Maybe this doesn't really matter to people, but yeah, I was just trying to make sure I was understanding it correctly. So yeah, cortisol is not breaking down DHEA, but DHEA kind of prevents the cortisol from breaking down things too quickly.
Yes.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
I don't know if any of that needs to really be in this podcast. But once you start talking about DHEA and all the other things, the body, I get kind of lost in the sauce versus just thinking about cortisol. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mentioned DHEA because if we're just looking at cortisol by itself and we see that it's high means stress, that could be a healthy stress response, or we can see that the signaling has been broken in a way already and DHEA is low. That would be our first indication that we have an adrenal fatigue or HPA axis dysfunction by getting those two numbers rather than just testing cortisol.
Gotcha. So ultimately you can be on two ends of the spectrum here. You can have regular cortisol where it rises and it peaks 30 minutes after waking in the morning, and then it kind of like goes down throughout the day, and so that you can sleep at night. But then there's people that cannot sleep because cortisol is high at night. So they can't go to sleep. That's where you get sleep insomnia. And then there's also people that the cortisol just never goes up, and so they're always fatigued. They're always tired because they're just worn out, and they just drag throughout the day. They probably sleep okay at night, but
sometimes they have trouble sleeping too.
I suppose, could they have trouble sleeping because they sleep all day, or like they feel tired all day too? But yeah.
Yeah. And the body likes the signals of wakefulness and sleepiness. So if it never really gets any of those signals, you can feel tired and exhausted, but maybe still can't sleep very well or have continuous sleep. Like that's very restful.
Gotcha. Good to know.
Yeah. So testing is really important, obviously, so we could see on the spectrum of where you were. So when I did my testing, I was the stage 2 where cortisol looked normal from the naked eye if you just looked at it, but my DHEA was really low, where if I remember my numbers correctly, my goal was to have DHEA around 400 and it was at like 25. So from stress of pharmacy school, COVID, getting married, starting my residency, all of those were happening before I did my cortisol test and my hormone test. The Dutch test is the one I did. And it showed that there was adrenal fatigue there, so that I was able to use what I was learning and target the supplements based on my test results so I could get quicker response rather than like just doing the lifestyle stuff, which is also really important, or just doing adaptogens that are like a good even keel for everyone, but you can get more targeted if you know those test results. I've done so many tests, the adrenal tests for people and looking at cortisol. Out of all of my tests that I've done for people, I've seen one person not have adrenal fatigue at some level. So like it's so common for people. And we need to, it's like the first step in healing for people would be to balance the cortisol and help heal the adrenal signaling before we get into gut health and detox and hormones, because it's all going to respond to what the cortisol is doing in the body.
I mean, that makes sense because in today's day and age, it's go all the time. We're trying to do things as quickly and efficiently as possible, but we're constantly, there's so many stressors nowadays, and with people's careers and just the fast-paced environment that we live in now, especially I feel like in America. I think that some other countries have it better figured out on how to rest and kind of maintain that work-home life balance and flow of things. But I think in America, we're just constantly on the go, and it can cause us to develop bad habits and really not focus on our health. So it makes sense that this would be something that you'd want to look at first, because it's going to, I mean, again, And just in general, sleep is like one of the most important things.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're not sleeping right, like that's bad. But then, like in your case, you might have regular cortisol levels, but if your DHEA is too low, it could be attacking other things, or
Yeah.
doing other things in your body, like and maybe hurting your adrenals or causing leaky gut, things like that.
Yeah. And that could lead to other things as well. It can cause hormone fluctuations, infertility. It can make menopause worse or menopause earlier. If you're in that stage, it can cause a lot of gut infection. So I also did a gut test. I did the GI map and I had numerous gut infections. So again, we want to help balance that cortisol, because when we kill off those gut infections and when we heal the leaky gut, help managing the cortisol is going to prevent that from happening again in the future, rather than just killing it and then you're predisposed to it continuing to happen. So it's all related, and we do want to get that cortisol in check. And when you look up so many health concerns and symptoms and chronic diseases, it always says, what's the issue? Stress, right? So it always says like stress is the culprit. And what it means by that is really like the cortisol imbalance.
Got it. But cortisol itself is not necessarily the enemy, is what we've learned here today.
Yeah, right. We want a balance. We don't want cortisol too high or too low. So we need to help heal the body and get that back in check. There's different ways to test the cortisol, and depending on what your provider is familiar with or likes to test, and a lot of providers aren't as familiar with it, so going the functional medicine route may be more beneficial. I would say a lot of people like to do blood tests, but they're the least accurate way to test cortisol, because you're getting one snapshot in time. And when we're thinking about like doing a blood test, pricking you, drawing blood, that's a stressful event already to the body. So it's already going to probably be off based on that. So I like urine or saliva, and it's something that you could do at home as well. So I did urine. Saliva would be like the gold standard, because we'll get it exactly at the time, where urine has to like process through the body. So we'll get it slightly afterwards, but they are comparable. But saliva would technically be the gold standard. But then we can also get it throughout the day, because I said we want it to rise in the morning and then fall throughout the day and be low at bedtime. So if we're doing urine or saliva, that's really easy to do at home and to do multiple tests rather than like a blood test.
Yeah. No one wants to draw their own blood throughout the day.
No. Be really skilled for that. I know I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I do the Dutch test. Like I said, there's other tests out there, but that's my favorite.
Yeah. I did it too.
Yeah.
And I think my results were pretty similar. My cortisol was okay, but I think my DHEA was off.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Which I was surprised by, because like I thought I would probably have cortisol all over the place, but I guess I sleep okay.
So to manage your cortisol levels, there are lifestyle components that I'd recommend for everyone. And then depending on if we have testing or not, we can get really specific with helping your cortisol by supplements to help you feel better faster. Or if we don't have testing, you kind of have, again, those like even keel, this can kind of help everyone type of supplement. But the more testing we have, the more information we have, the more specific we can get. But okay, so lifestyle, we talked about sleep. So recommended 7 to 9 hours per night of restful sleep. More nights, the better. And then sunshine. So getting morning sunshine to reset the circadian rhythm. Blood sugar control is a big one. So if your cortisol is off balance, especially if you're really low, intermittent fasting is not good, because that can also be a stressor on the body. And what happens then, your body will produce cortisol, so you're not on a low blood sugar deficit and you're not getting like dizzy and tired and all that. So your body pushes cortisol and produces blood sugar for you. So for those people, we can't really do intermittent fasting. So we need high protein breakfast. We need protein and healthy fats at each meal to help regulate the blood sugar. Not having just carbohydrates for breakfast. All of that is really important. And then gentle exercise. Again, we talked about how a lot of exercise or intense exercise specifically can feel bad after, especially if your cortisol is really low. So having like gentle Pilates or having stretching and walking, all of that can be more helpful during those periods of time to help regulate the cortisol. And then supplements, adaptogens are really good. Like ashwagandha or rhodiola are kind of our go-tos, especially if we don't know you're testing. And that adaptogens help adapt your cortisol. So if it's too high or too low, it can try to bring that to where it needs to be. But if we do know your levels, I like to help with giving DHEA and pregnenolone, which are both the precursor hormones, to help get the adrenals back on track, to help heal that and to reset the signaling. And I do those like tiny doses throughout the day to imitate how the body naturally signals so that we can eventually take them away and have your body do that by itself. And then if your cortisol is too high, I use a supplement called phosphatidylserine that helps bring that down. If your cortisol is too low, I use licorice root to help bring that up so we can get that rhythm, which is what we're looking for.
Got it.
Yeah. But again, like B vitamins, magnesium, CoQ10, fish oil, all of that can be healthy for cortisol production, but also just helping like well-rounded nutrition so your body can keep that in balance too.
Okay.
Was that a lot, Landon?
That was a lot.
Okay.
But
too much.
You can rewind it and listen back if you want to pick out the different things you want to try to add to your supplement diet regimen.
Yes.
All good recommendations.
Yep. Cortisol is the first step. If we can get that on track, then we can get your body started for healing.
But in general, I think just testing for cortisol levels could be a major first step in becoming healthier.
Mm-hmm. And I know my doctors didn't really do that. And I don't think a lot of doctors, that's their first step. But when I see people, it's always my first step.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I can see why.
Okay, cool. Well, bring us home with a dad joke.
We're not going to do Q&A?
Oh, yes. Okay. We did have a question. And do you want to read the question?
I'll read the question.
Okay.
It is, what has been your favorite baby product?
Okay. So I don't think we'll have the same answer on this because mine, so it really depends on like which phase they're in. Definitely like newborn stage.
Yeah, it changes.
Now we're kind of pre-feeding stage. We're kind of, I feel like, in between. So, but my pick is going to be the toy box that we get every couple months because I have a subscription and it's the Panda Crate by KiwiCo and I found them online. Anyway,
We're not sponsored by them.
No, that'd be great though. But they send us every 2 months toys depending on her development. So I don't have to go searching for the contrast cards when she's a newborn and then like the different rattles and all these things that help her develop. And everything is like toxin free and low stimulating. So no like bright flashy lights, no plastic or anything like that. So it takes a lot off of my plate. And then they also have a little book that comes with it of like why each toy is included, what you can do with it, how they can grow with it. And then I just like to rotate the toys so that she isn't like bored of them too. And so yeah, I don't have to go out and buy toys. So I think that's really convenient for me.
Okay. Yeah, mine are more functional, I guess. it has changed over time. I think back when she was still more of a newborn, I really thought the Snuggle Bee was useful when we were co-sleeping, because that was just, it took the work out of, we were able to set up our bed in a way that we knew was safe to do that. And I think it definitely helped us get more rest in the night. But now, obviously, we don't really use that because she sleeps in her nursery. So right now, this might be a boring answer, but I really like our stroller slash car seat.
You were in charge of picking the stroller.
Well, I mean, not necessarily for that reason. I just think that, I've seen some strollers that are more difficult to deal with, and the one we have is super useful. We got it on Facebook Marketplace. We got a great deal on it. It's an expensive one, but it's so easy to use, easy to get the attachments undone for traveling, especially for when we're taking on the plane and rolling it through the airport. It's really easy to break down and stand up and compact into a carry bag and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's really useful, and we use it all the time. And so that's why it's my favorite right now, and we've been able to adjust it based on like how big she's getting. And I think we'll use it for plenty of time to come. And we also have attachments for like the next stage, but, I don't know what kind of baby stroller it is, what the brand is, but
Nuna.
What's that? Nuna?
Yeah.
Nuna's the brand of the baby stroller we use? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that. Okay. But yeah, no, it's really, that's been useful.
It was funny when we were pregnant, and especially when we like walk around airports or walking down the street and you go ask parents, like, what kind of stroller is that? How do you like it?
Yeah.
You're very like wanting to know and picking the right stroller.
Because you use it all the time. And I mean, it's got nice big wheels that make for a smoother ride and don't get stuck or don't break as easily. So it's really well structured, but then you can easily take the car seat out and plop it into the car seat base that's already in the car. So it's quick, and you can fold it down and put it in the back of your car, and you can attach stuff to it like cup holders, fans, things like that really easily, quickly. And it's got pockets for things. It's easy to be mobile with, and I appreciate it.
Yes, me too. Thank you for finding that and doing your research.
Yay me.
Yes. Okay, now is it time for dad joke of the day?
Okay, yes. Now we will do a dad joke. Here we go. How do you make a waterbed bouncier?
Add more water? I don't know.
Add spring water.
Spring water. That's funny.
Okay.
Waterbeds were such a thing when we were younger.
Yeah, they're not really a thing anymore.
No, I think they're kind of dangerous. And if you pop it, can you imagine?
And I don't think they're really safe for kids. I don't think you can have them if you have a kid. But I don't know. If you have a waterbed out there, shout us out.
Speaking of
Tell us how you like it.
I won't name my coworker, but she says how she co-slept with her kid when her kid was a baby. She's like almost 30 now, but she had a waterbed and did the co-sleeping and everything. Yeah. She's like, yeah, it worked great for us. I know it's not probably safe now, but we'll change as we know more, I guess.
Well, hopefully, at least the kid's okay now.
Yeah,
that's the
she's
important
great.
thing. Yeah. And did you have a waterbed? I never had a waterbed.
No, but I remember like our neighbors did. So we go to our neighbor's house and like jump on their bed, and that was so fun.
Oh, yeah. I remember one friend had one, and it just seemed so strange. But also, like, do they have good like support for your back and stuff? Or
I don't know. I never slept on one. I just jumped on them.
Okay, moving on. All right, well, thanks for listening today.
Where can they find us?
You could find us on Instagram at Moline Method, or you can visit our website, molinmethod.com. And but don't forget to like, share, subscribe, wherever you listen to your podcast. Leave us a 5-star review.
Share with your friends. That really means a lot.
Or your enemies. Share with your enemies too.
Okay.
Share with everyone.
Help us grow. Yeah.
Help us grow.
Yeah. And you can submit questions to our Instagram at Moline Method, or email me, kelly@molinemethod.com.
Or TikTok, apparently.
Or we're also on TikTok at Moline Method.
Great.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.